Welcome back, everybody.
If you guys haven't watched the last video, make sure to go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, like all the videos. Make sure to comment down below with any video suggestions. And if you haven't already, go to our social medias, follow us there, put on the notification settings so you know when we're posting.
Unfortunately, the guest for this week had an unforeseen injury, so we hope him a speedy recovery.
For today, we have a very, very special segment for you guys. But before we announce that, we want a special thanks to our sponsor, Koopman Official. Thank you guys for sending over the KVM switch. It's a really handy gadget, really small, really light, sleek. It's a beautiful product, and you can use it to switch between two different computers that are used by one set of mouse and keyboard. So you can switch between those computers if you only have one set. Super easy to use, plug in and play. You just press a little switch and then you can switch between the two. So super easy. And thank you again, Koopman Official. Go check them out, guys. Let's get started with today's quick scope guide.
Hey.
That is what you guys are gonna learn today. Before you guys walk out of here, you guys are gonna have full knowledge of how to quick scope and the mechanics of everything that needs to be taken into account. So let's start real quick with the settings, guys. We're not even gonna jump into any gameplay yet. We're just gonna start with the settings. So first we have the horizontal stick sensitivity and vertical stick sensitivity. Sensitivity, it's a kind of a complicated subject. You know, it's not something that we can tell you is wrong or right. It has to do with preference and what type of player you are and how you play. I used to play in really high sensitivity, but as game modes progressed and we have battle royale now, we have shots that are harder to make because they're further away, like across the map type. So sniping has taken a different count, where before it was kind of like erratic movements and kind of like spazzing out, and now it's kind of more accurate and like perfect shots, you could say. So at a slower sensitivity, you have a better chance to really track your target and slow down and take that shot, rather than when you're playing on a higher sensitivity, everything is moving a lot faster and you can't really comprehend what you're seeing because you're moving so fast. So you might miss a target or something because you just pan to the right and now you blurred everything and you didn't see anything. So it's really important to be honest with yourself when picking out a sensitivity, and it comes down to trial and error. You just got to try it and see what works for you. So a good base is 6. Start off with 6, go up or down from there, and then that's how you kind of have to find your sensitivity for yourself, is trial and error and just try it out. As far as ADS sensitivity goes, low zoom and high zoom, it has to do with the magnification of your optic. So if you're using a sniper scope or like I don't know,
red dot,
like a red dot would classify like a low zoom, because you know it's something that is used for like short range engagements rather than a sniper scope, which is used in long range engagements. So high zoom is a sniper scope. A red dot would classify for a low zoom. Anything in between, like an ACOG scope, you just have to see what the specifications is for a 3 times or lower, like it says here in the description of this setting right here for ADS stick sensitivity. Low zoom, it has to be 3 times or lower. So just look at the little bio that each attachment has, and it will tell you what magnification it is, and you can choose accordingly to your low zoom or high zoom sensitivity. Now for this, it says 1. What that means is a multiplier. So every time that you go up, you're multiplying that decimal by 7, or whichever your sensitivity is on. So you want to make sure you keep that in mind as you go up on the scale. As you put your sensitivity up, you don't put it too high. For instance, if you put it on 2, now you're in a sensitivity of 14, so you want to be careful with that. Other than that, these are just things that you're gonna have to try and figure out for yourselves what works for you. If you're, you know, a faster aim down sight person, rather than when you're actually playing, you want to move slower in your play and faster when you're ADS, then you would go into your multiplier and put it up. So you just choose accordingly, try it, and figure it out. As far as button layout goes, I always recommend tactical. That's highly recommended. What this means is, if we go back to default, basically the melee attack, which you can see is designated for the right joystick, and the B button, which is designated for the crouch interaction, gets switched off. So we're in default now, and take a look in the tactical. It is now joystick crouch, and B is melee. So those are the two things that switch off. You can check out any of these other modes, but for the best, most efficient button layout is tactical. Why? Because you want to have the thumb on the joystick as much as possible. The more you take your thumb off the joystick, the least time you have to react to anything that's coming at you. If somebody comes around the corner and your button is not on the joystick, you have half a split second less than that person to aim down the sight and get your target on and shoot. So you always want to have that advantage. The least time you spend off your joystick, the more accurate and better chances of survival you will have. Flip bumpers and triggers, you could try that. Some people use that because the bumpers give you a faster input time into your controller. That's not necessarily a big advantage or change, so I recommend to just keep it the same way. If you've been playing Call of Duty for years, it's kind of going to be odd to switch from grenades to, the shooting modes and aiming. Totally up to you though. Try it out, see it, and see how it feels. And vertical look, that just means that if you look up, your character looks down, and if you press down, your character looks up. So it's inverted. I keep it disabled. I don't like that. It doesn't do it for me. It's total preference, but it doesn't make you a better or worse quickscoper. Aim response time. This is actually something that does have a change. So standard, linear, and dynamic. Standard, what that means is the default in all Call of Duty games, which is if you press your joystick all the way to the right, the way that it moves is exponentially. So if you're looking at it as like a bar graph, it starts off slow and then picks up traction at the end. So if you press your analog stick all the way to the right, it's gonna start off moving off slow, and then it's gonna start moving off quick towards the end of the press of the input, or what the input of the controller. So if you move off to linear, instead of it being exponential like that, it's gonna look like a straight up line, like a 45-degree angle at the graph. So basically what that means is no matter what, the input of the controller is the same. So if you press it a little bit, it's still going to move the same rate of speed as it would if you pressed it all the way to the right. So linear works for some people, it just doesn't work for me. I do a lot of little adjustments rather than big adjustments or anything like that. So for me, standard works the best. Feel free to try any of these two. Dynamic I've never tried, but I think it's pretty much just the reverse of standard. It picks up traction in the beginning, in the beginning, and it slows down towards the end. So if you do a lot of big adjustments, that's probably something you could try. Controller vibration, keep it enabled, keep it disabled, it's completely up to you. Some people keep it disabled just because the controller doesn't vibrate and it doesn't mess up their shot. I don't really find that to be true at all. I think it actually keeps you immersed into the environment, into the experience, so I keep it enabled. Target aim assist, you want to keep that enabled. It's just a little help that will give you a tiny edge, so always keep that enabled. Target aim assist mode, so if we go back to aim assist, what that means is that the game is actually assisting you in aiming at your target. So if you're panning right, left or right, and there's somebody in the way of that pan, the actual crosshairs will slow down when it passes over that character. So that's what aim assist is. Aim assist mode, there's different modes. There's legacy, precision, focusing, and they all have different reactions to an opponent. So when you're panning and you see an opponent in front of you, they all have different rates of slowdown or whatever. So basically on standard, it's a very small window of slowdown. So when you pan and you see an opponent, and it's very little and very it's not noticeable really. It's very small. Legacy is a little bit more noticeable. It starts to slow down a little bit more. Um, Precision is a strong aim slowdown when you're only closer to target. So it's a slowdown. It's a big, strong slowdown, but only when you get on target, not when you're a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, as you would see with focusing, where as soon as you get into the vicinity of the target, it starts to slow down. So precision is more like when you're on the target that it slows down. Focusing is when you're around the target, it starts to slow down. So this might help you in the beginning to learn the timing and the centering down, which we'll talk about later in the video, for quick scoping. So you could try focusing, you could try precision earlier in your early stages, and then try to get down to standard, because you want no assist or the least amount of assist with your shots. Because what happens sometimes, you'll aim down and the computer will decide that it needed to slow down earlier than you wanted, and your actual shot was to the right a little bit rather than you thought. So it messes up your shot. You want to keep that standard. You don't want a computer making decisions for you, so keep that on standard. ADS aim assist, obviously keep that enabled. Airborne manual behavior, keep that on automatic. It's just about jumping over stuff, so you want it to automatically do it. Aim down sight behavior, you want to keep that on hold, because if you put it on toggle, it's basically, toggle means you have to turn on and off. So if you have on toggle to aim down the sight, you have to press down the left trigger and to aim down, and then to get out of aim down sight, you have to press it again. So it's two actions rather than one. So it doesn't make it efficient, it doesn't make it a good flow. So it's better just to keep it on hold. That way when you hold it, it goes into the aim, and then as soon as you let go, it gets out of it. So it's one easy flow. It's quick, easy, and you can keep on moving. So that's what you want. It's efficient. Steady aim behavior, the same thing. You want to hold it. Armor, that has to do with Warzone. So for the purpose of this video, we want to explain it. Same thing with attack vehicle. Stick layout. This has to do with basically like switching your left and right on analog sticks. For the purpose of this video, we won't change that. It just has to do with, preference. So it's totally up to you. Minimum input threshold for the left stick and right stick, that has to do with drift. So basically, if you've ever dropped a controller, you know that the character tends to move a little bit to the right, or he tends to look up or down even when you're not pressing anything on the controller. So what you want is to put the threshold up so that it creates a little how do I say, area where even if you move it, it doesn't create any input into the controller. Therefore, your character won't move. So even if your character, even if you're not pressing anything, your character won't move. So let's say you have it on 0 and you put your controller down. As soon as you put it down and you're not touching anything, your character starts to move, then you know you got to put it up. And you just got to keep playing with that until your controller or your character stops moving without any input. So the opposite would be the max input. So you want to keep that at 99 because you want to have a full range of motion. You don't want to limit yourself. So as you see on the little projection on the right side, it gives you an inner arrow into that circle. So the more the least you're bringing down this number, the more that area shrinks and the least range of motion you have. So you want to keep that at 9. Well, let's keep that at 100 actually. No, let's keep it at 99. Why not? Auto move forward, you want to keep that disabled. Basically, you just double tap the right analog stick, or left analog stick, and you'll continuously keep running. So that's not something you want to do, because if you're stuck in running mode, you don't want to catch a fight or engage into a fight.
That wouldn't be good.
Yeah, because then you have to press it again, and it's half a second you have less. Auto sprint, movement is going to be key in quickscoping, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So auto sprint is important to have enabled. We won't have it off because quickscoping isn't really about hiding behind places or being stealthy. It's more like running and gunning. So for the purpose of this video, we'll keep it enabled. The sprint cancels reload, definitely keep that disabled. You don't want a mistake of pressing the analog stick and starting to run or moving forward to cancel your reload during a fight, especially because that'll give you a disadvantage. The other person walks in with a full clip and you have nothing in your chamber. So keep that disabled. Parachute that has to do with Warzone. We'll explain that. Equipment behavior. Keep it on hold again. You don't want to do two actions to do one thing. So just keep it on hold. That way you do one thing and it's smooth and it flows well. Interact reload behavior. You want to keep this in prioritize reload just because there's a lot of instances when you're in the middle of a gunfight. There's a gun on the floor and then you tend to reload. You tried to reload at least, but it actually picked up the gun by mistake and it messed up your whole thing. You're confused. You didn't know what just happened and the guy came in and killed you. So for that not to happen, because I'm a person that tends to tap X rather than hold X because I want to maximize the time that I have on my joystick with my thumb. I don't want to take it off for too long to hold the button. I keep it in a tap mode. I always just tap and go back to the joystick. So I tended to always jump off the choppers, always jump off the car. So it became a problem and I went to prioritize reload and that solved it for me. So if you're a person that holds to reload, it's not as efficient as just tapping because you're keeping your finger off the joystick. But if that's what you like to do, keep it on prioritize, interact. That way you will reload when you hold your X rather than when just tapping it. Tap to reload, tap to interact. That's just basically like a simplified version of these two other modes. You can check them out, try them yourself. And that's all for any of the controller settings. We'll move on to graphics, which is a very, very important setting, which is field of view. You want to keep that as high as possible. As you see on the graphic on top, 60 is the smallest window possible. So you have a less peripheral view to either side than you would at 120. 120 increases your side view and gives you less of that tunnel vision and lets you see the people that are running to your sides, which you can now aim at and shoot. You can keep motion blur disabled so that way you can be clear when turning quickly or cornering or centering, anything like that, and that way you can get nice, effective, accurate shots. There's no other real settings that we'll talk about today. We'll keep it nice and simple. Other than that, we'll jump into loadouts. So really quickly, loadouts, you want to maximize your ADS speed. ADS speed is king for quick scoping. So the best possible loadout you can have is this right here, which we'll show you in a second. But you want to maximize all your ADS speeds and your damage as well as your fire rate. So the best bang for your buck is right here with the Tiger team. You get a 20% damage, 13% fire rate, 50% bullet velocity, 14% reload quickness. With the sniper, you only have a certain amount of bullets. You need to reload quick. If you miss, you need to reload. So this is a great bump. Now, damage. Talk about hit markers. If you're a sniper, you know what a hit marker is. Getting that one shot on target and not killing is like the most devastating thing. So this barrel is going to get you a better chance of getting that kill. With the Pellington, for instance, you can only get a kill from the chest up. So your shots have to be from the chest up. You get an arm shot, you get a leg shot. It's a hit marker. He's not dead yet. You're going to have to reload and get another shot on the guy. So with this, 20% damage, and now it became like from the stomach up. So everything from the stomach up is now a kill shot, which is 90% of people's shots. Unfortunately, you do get that leg shot. You will have to shoot again, but it's still a big bump. For the Tundra, I know it's from, like, I believe the stomach up that it's already a kill shot. But with the Tiger team barrel, it becomes from, like, the knees and up. So, like, it literally gives you a ginormous shot. So you can shoot anywhere in the body, and it's basically a kill shot. The only time for the Tundra is not a kill shot is from the knee below and from like the wrist and below. So if you shoot in the hand or anywhere below the knee, you won't get a kill shot. But that's a big increase. Fire rate and bullet velocity. Fire rate, again, you're putting that bullet into the chamber, so you want that bullet velocity. means that the bullet is not going to drop if the target is too far away. Once the target is too far away, the bullet tends to drop, obviously because of gravity, and it doesn't have enough velocity to get to its target. So 50% jump, that's going to give you an accurate shot. You don't have to aim up a little bit to anticipate for that bullet drop. You could just shoot straight on target, and that's 100% important in sniping, especially in Warzone. Not so much here in multiplayer because you have closer range targets, but in Warzone, if you have a cross the map shot, and I know the Tundra has very little bullet drop, so make sure you guys get the Tiger Team barrel. For body, I keep it on steady aim laser just because it's a 30% hip fire accuracy without any cons. If I go down to SWAT 5 whatever it is laser, it gives me a -8% aim downside time, and that's a no. You don't want any aim downside time cons. You don't want any negatives on there. You want to keep that as fast as possible. So that's why I decided to go with the steady aim laser rather than the 5 am. Same for any of these other ones, like the last one here. It gives me a 40% bump, but it gives me a -10% in aim downside, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna keep it there. Under barrel, we'll keep it at infiltrator grip. I did look at the bruiser grip here, but it just didn't seem like I needed, I believe is, yeah, the sprint and move speed. I didn't feel like I needed that enough to give it a 3% bump. So I took that 3% bump and I tossed it, and I gave myself 2% extra on these 3 other attributes, and I thought that was a much better decision. Especially here, it gives me a good bump too as well, but it's not anything that I really need. So I kind of make the decision here that the infiltrator grip gives me what I want, a little bit of bump without taking too much away. And it really, this is something that if you ever had to trade anything off, I feel like the infiltrator grip would be the one that you would trade maybe for like a silencer or a like suppressor or a different optic. That would be the one. So make that decision. It's totally up to you, especially for your Warzone players. I know you want to keep it stealthy, so a suppressor might be a good change. Other than that, I don't do anything with magazines or optics or anything like that. Handles, I do the airborne elastic because it's the last one that they offer to unlock, and obviously it has the best stats, so that's the one that we're gonna go with compared to every other one. It just doesn't compare because you get the most bang for your buck. So airborne elastic, you're gonna get a 12% aim down sight time. You want that, and that 90% flinch resistance, that's big. When you're getting shot, your aim down sights, your crosshairs are going all over the place because you're taking in shots. So what you want is that 90%. You want to have very little change in your aim down sight because basically it's going to mess up your shot. You want to be accurate. So you want this and aim while going prone. Now you have the ability to aim while going prone. You didn't have that before. You had to go prone and then aim. So this is what you need, guys. Make sure you get the airborne elastic. For the stock, go to the Raider stock, and again, it's just the last one that they offer to unlock, so it gives you the most bang for your buck. Yeah, it gives you that -30% hip fire accuracy, but you counteracted with that steady aim, and now you're back where you want it to be, because that hip fire accuracy, believe it or not, comes in handy in these close quarter combats. If you're playing Nuketown or anything like that, you know that you have people come up to your face out of nowhere, and if you just press the trigger, that's a clean kill. So keeping that hip fire accuracy alive is important. So the Raider stock to me felt like it was the better decision compared to these other ones because it gave me the best bang for my buck. The sprint to fire time, which was a 30% boost, that's huge. Yeah, I could get the 30% fire here too as well and get -15%. But I felt like in walk-in movement speed was good enough for me because I felt like in case I needed to stay in scope longer, I had that 40% and I could move faster out of frame while aiming rather than staying in the frame while aiming. But marathon pad is a good option. So if you feel like you don't need to really move fast while aiming and you want that extra hip fire accuracy, go with the marathon pad. Give it a try or compare both. For me, it's just a Raider stock. And with that, we'll go ahead. We won't talk much about perks or anything like that, but you guys need the gun ho perk. That is one thing that you guys will need because it allows you to move at full speed when reloading. So if you guys are running away from a fight because you just ran out of your last bullet, this is good because you can run away at full speed and reload. So this is going to allow you to get the best movement possible and turn around and take the shot. All right, guys. So now that we're in a game, I can explain a little better about my next couple points. So centering, that's gonna be a very, very big key to getting your quickscopes done in time and in an efficient manner. So what I mean in time, I mean if you are coming around the corner, you have to already be centered at that person before you make the turn. By that, I mean, what are the high traffic areas of the next corner that you're about to hit? So if you know people come out of this door and you're about to hit this corner, jump out already thinking about aiming at that corner. So try that a couple times. Make sure you get your centering in. You want to take your corners hard. You don't want to take them slow. You may want to make sure you don't be this guy. You don't want to be this guy. Don't come out of a corner slow. Come out of it hard. Make sure you're confident in your corners and just jump at it and learn your centering. Because what happens when you come out slow? If there's somebody here waiting, just camping, because you know there's 100 million of these guys just camping right here, waiting for you to pass out. I mean, to come out. If you're doing this because you're afraid there might be like a bunch of people, you're doing this. There's this guy that's looking at you already just coming out right here. And you don't have that field of vision right there. You don't have that corner yet. You came out, he sees your barrel. You don't even see him yet because your gun's in the way. So if you did this, he would have to adjust really quickly to your movement. So you have a better chance of him missing than he would if you just came out slowly. He would get on target right away and shoot you and you die and you wouldn't even get the shot off before you even got him. So you want to make sure you take your corners hard, jump out, you want to slide out, you want to turn around, you want to make sure you're centered in those high traffic areas. So how are you going to determine those high traffic areas? It's going to be by just playing. You're going to have to try this a lot. You're just going to have to run around, try your centering as best as possible. Keep those crosshairs right in the middle of where you believe the chest to head area is going to be. So you don't want to walk around looking low like this. You want to be centered. You want to be somewhere in the chest to mouth area, like in the neck, chest area. That's where you always want to keep your crosshairs. So that way, even when you turn, you're still in the chest area. Because as I explained earlier, hit markers are super possible with snipers. You only have to be a hair off. So anything below the waist is usually a hit marker. So if you want to keep those crosshairs nice and high up to the chest area, it's your best chance of a kill.
Timing.
Yeah, timing. Timing is huge. So now that you're centered, right? You're coming around those corners and you got your centering done. You got that guy right in your crosshairs. So now you have to get your timing right. What does that mean? The timing that it takes for the gun, I guess the time that it would take for the gun to scope in, for the gun to aim down the sight. So that time is something that you're gonna have to take into account every time, and you're gonna have to practice it. You're gonna have to feel it out. It's gonna have to become muscle memory to the point where like you scope in and you already know that at this point it's a full scoped in shot. By that I mean that the way that Call of Duty has been over the years is that they try to make it as realistic as possible. So they think that when you're not aimed down the sight, you're not really aiming and you're not being accurate. So if you shoot like this, you can tell that my bullet went off to the side and not straight. So, and once I aim down the sight, it shoots right on my crosshair. So you can see the difference in these two shots. There's a pretty big difference with these two shots, and that's a close shot. So if I shoot far away, That shot went like way over there, didn't even get close to the guy. So you want to practice to see what's actually fully zoomed in. Once you get that down and you got your centering done, all you need is to fire. That's it. You just need to get that down. That timing that it takes for your scope to be fully in, and just do this a couple times. Just fully scope in until that split second and fire. Once you feel like you got a good feel for it and you're getting your shots right in, and boom, right there, now you can move on to the next step.
Position.
Yes. So positioning, super important. So now that you've got everything you need, you know, you're getting those kills, but you're having a little bit of a tough time trying to get those kill streaks. You're getting 1 or 2 and then you're getting killed. Positioning is huge. You want to make sure you put yourself in the best situations. You want to make sure you got cover at all times. You don't want to be out in the open, because if you have 360 degrees of danger coming at you, it's hard to keep a track of it all and defend yourself. So you want to at least give yourself a good cover to at least know that there's only people that come in from 2 ways, which is this way and that way, right? So now you've eliminated your 2 sides. So now you could even do more, and you can go into a spot like this where you know that this is the only way of entry and your boys are coming from this side, or you know that you have this entry and you can chill right here, or whatever the case is. You want to put yourself in the best situations ever. You don't want to make the mistake of making the wrong decision to go after the easy kill, which probably is like right there, but you forgot that there's a bunch of people over here that are fighting. So you're peeking out, and now you're fully exposed to these guys, so they can easily get a shot on you. So you want to position yourself further back. So now you've eliminated that threat, and now you got a clear shot at what you want. So now you got to take into account this other spot. Now you put yourself a little further back. Now you got a great shot. So you got to think about those positions, guys. You got to keep your mini map in mind to see those red dots, so you know where the fights are going on and where the people are. So if you know there's people there, position yourself in the best places possible, get the best shot. And that leads me to my next point, is movement. You can't always be in the same position ever. You can't always just have the best position. Sometimes the other person is going to have the best position and you're going to be at a disadvantage. So what are you going to do? You got to keep moving. Movement is going to be your best friend when sniping. You missed your shot? Oh no, now what? Now you got to move. You can't stay in the same spot because you're face to face with that guy. So movement and positioning go hand in hand. If I know there's these stairs here and he's over there and he only has this line of sight, if I move over here, he no longer has a line of sight. So now I'm in the clear. I can go in here, I can heal up a little bit, I can come back and go into the fight again. The point is to stay alive and not die. So you want to make sure you're using all of your resources. By that I mean every wall, every little ledge, anything you can use for cover. You want to make sure you're using that. Well, movement, you're going to want to move left to right, zigzag, move out of the guy's way so that you can get a second shot. All you need is half a second for the guy to put another bullet into the chamber. So you need half a second. That's all you got to do, is stay alive for half a second. So zigzag out of his way. So if you're face to face to him, people have a tough time moving like this, having to make rearrangements almost to their back left side, back right side. So if he's right there and I just move almost behind them, he has to do a 90-degree turn pretty much, and that usually messes people up. You want to make sure you're keeping people on their toes. You don't want to give them a straight shot. Move side to side and don't stay still. That's going to be very important to staying alive. And with that, guys, we're going to end this guide. I feel like you guys can go out now and get some kills with your snipers, get some quick scopes, get some clips in. I want to see those clips, so make sure you guys are sending in clips to us. DM us on our Instagram, go to all our social medias, follow us there. Thank you guys for watching and staying tuned. Follow us and subscribe for more videos. Thank you very much, and that's a wrap.
See you next time, guys.